Senator Ronald Dela Rosa, the Duterte administration's former police chief, denies the existence of a reward system for cops in connection with the anti-drug war. In a message to ABS-CBN News, Dela Rosa said he knows nothing about the scheme. He added he had no funds to execute the alleged reward system during his time as PNP chief. He also insisted there is no need for a reward system, as it is the sworn duty of every policeman to keep his area of responsibility free from drugs. Former Police Colonel Royina Garma said before lawmakers Friday, police officers received 20,000 to as much as 1 million pesos for killing drug personalities. Senator Bongo calls for an investigation into the allegations of retired Police Colonel Royina Garma, who implicated former President Duterte in the extrajudicial killings of drug suspects. The senator says Garma's statements during the House hearing are merely diversionary tactics to muddle the true issue that she is facing, which is her participation in an alleged murder plot. Go adds malicious and unsubstantiated statements would have no place in any credible investigation. A bombshell dropping during Friday's House probe into the alleged Duterte-era extrajudicial killings. A former police officer who once headed the state-run lottery agency claims ex-President Rodrigo Duterte instructed her to find a police officer who could execute his anti-drug campaign on a national scale. Royina Garma said the drug crackdown was intended to replicate Davao City's approach, which allegedly rewarded policemen for the killing of drug suspects.
The Davao model involves 3 levels of payment of rewards. First is the reward if the suspect is killed. Second, if is the funding of planned operations. And the third is the refund of operational expenses.
A House lawmaker believes Garma is a credible resource person.
Medyo ako'y nagulat na. Nagbago na nga yung tenor ng kanyang mga sinasabi, ano? Nahutuwa naman ako sapagkat finally, she was able to talk freely at sabihin niya talaga ang mga pangyayari na dapat na makita namin. Nakita niya rin yung mga bagay-bagay na dapat niya makita sa buhay niya. So, palagay ko naman, meron siyang credibility na sabihin yan.
Around 6,000 drug suspects were killed by police during the 6-year term of President Duterte, but rights groups estimate the actual death toll to be as high as 12,000. Former President Rodrigo Duterte is set to be called in the next House Quad Committee hearing into the drug war. The former president has been accused of masterminding the drug war reward system. Duterte earlier said he is open to attending the House hearings with hopes lawmakers will ask him educated questions. One of the committee chairpersons, Manila Representative Benny Abante, says more information will be revealed in the Quadcom's next hearings.
Papatawag din namin siya pagkat sinabi naman niya na he is willing to attend. Not yesterday dahil sa marami na kaming tinatawag at naihanda na namin lahat ng mga resource persons at masyado maskip. Pero pa kaming mga ilang mga i-reveal. They're now actually seeing the light. Kaya na mismo ang nagkukusa na magbigay ng mga affidavit tungkol dyan.
A member of a joint Philippine congressional panel vouches for the credibility of the drug war testimony of ex-lottery official Royina Garma. Congressman Dan Fernandez believes Garma's revelations confirm speculations state personnel and funds were used in extrajudicial killings of drug suspects. He also notes Garma's testimony marked the first time former President Rodrigo Duterte and Senators Ronald Dela Rosa and Christopher Bongo were linked to the summary killings. Fernandez, who heads the House Public Order and Safety Committee, guarantees Garma's safety after her revelations.
This is something that is big. Coming from a former PCSO general manager and at the same time being a former COP of Davao and being close to the president, is something that strengthen the position of those issues or news about the killings being paid. Dito, you can somehow put a much strengthened foundation. If before, parang mga news lang yon, but this time, parang it was cemented already. The EJK with the reward system really happened in the past administration. Being a part of our custody, the Sergeant at Arms, we have this responsibility to protect her at all cost. And that's the reason why we are contemplating on not allowing yet to lift the contempt that we have cited on her, precisely on the reason of her security.
17 foreigners arrested after the National Bureau of Investigation raided a suspected scam hub in Makati City on Friday. The suspects were mostly Chinese nationals, were believed to be engaged in investments and cryptocurrency scams. Authorities recovered computers, cell phones, and various SIM cards, including a script allegedly used to defraud victims. The NBI says the suspects were staying in one apartment building. Let's now speak with Winston Casio. He's a spokesperson for the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission about government's recent gains in shutting down illegal POGO operations, including the arrest of a so-called POGO godfather in Laguna. Again, thank you for joining us, Winston.
Hi, magandang hapon, Stanley. I apologize. I'm on official leave, so medyo maingay sa background ko.
Okay, we appreciate you more for being with us today, even if you are on official leave. I wouldn't waste your time. Let's get down to business. Lin Shunan was arrested in Biñan, Laguna. What more can you tell us about him, and how major is his role in the grand scheme of things in the fight against POGOs?
Well, the Commission, of late, the Commission has been focusing more of our efforts against the so-called financiers, the big fish, the people who provided the cash that allowed all of these POGO operations to proliferate in the past several years. And this guy is basically one of the big fish.
Okay.
He's one of the kingpins of the PORAC, or Lucky South 99 operations.
Okay, so that much we know. What happens now to this person? What kind of case are we looking to file against him?
By Monday, he would be inquested for immigration violations for apparently using, if we're not mistaken, 2 different passports with 2 different identities. So for that particular purpose, he would be inquested for being an undesirable alien. Likewise, in the next coming days, we would supplement our complaints before the Department of Justice panel of prosecutors to include him in our qualified trafficking in persons charges against the group of Catherine Cassandra Leong et al. So
Okay.
he would be by that time, he would already be the principal accused, given that he is the boss of that particular program.
And what you have on your hands as evidence on his involvement in the South Lucky 99 operations in Pampanga, in Pampanga?
Bear in mind, Stanley, that particular operation was a product of a lengthy case build-up or investigation. We're only able to, so to speak, get the search warrant June 4. But prior to June 4, we already had, I think, 2 or 3 months of case build-up. And his name has always been cropping up as one of the 4 major players in that particular operation. The other 3 being Duan Rin Wu, Jiang Jie, and Xiaolong. Xiaolong, we were able to apprehend him in Lapu-Lapu.
Okay.
So as early as April, Stanley, we've got the goods on this particular guy that we caught in Biñan.
What about Xiaolong? What can you tell us about the update on his case?
Xiaolong has already been charged criminally for qualified trafficking in persons, and he has been inquisited already for immigration violations. Then again, their lawyers, his lawyer and that of his father, Xiao Shu-ki, has filed a motion to quash. So we're still waiting for the hearing, the court hearing, for the judge to ascertain whether there is enough to retain the search warrant or to quash the warrant, depending on the evidence being presented by both sides.
Okay, another arrest, this time in Makati, a scam hub. 17 foreigners arrested, most of them Chinese nationals. What more details can you give us about
With
these
that particular
personalities?
operation, I don't have much information except that it was conducted by the National Bureau of Investigation Cybercrime Division. And we're very happy. We would like to commend the NBI and the other law enforcement agencies who have been going all out in the fight against illegal pogos. Remember, Stanley, the other day, the Philippine National Police in Mualboal, Cebu, was also able to apprehend, I guess, 38 foreign nationals operating an illegal pogo. And the Commission itself, together with the other law enforcement agencies, we've got a few more operations that we are doing case build-up, and hopefully this time around we'll be able to get other financiers, because this is now the thrust of the battle, to get these financiers.
Okay, lastly, Winston, given all of these arrests that you've made, all of these supposed major personalities involved in illegal offshore gaming operations and even crime syndicates in the country, how much evidence do you have on your hand right now to possibly link all of these together? I mean, piece the stories, the different stories and backgrounds together and link them to Bamban Mayor Ali's goal?
With regards to the one that we got in Binyan, we don't have enough yet to link him to Bamban Mayor, former Bamban Mayor Guwa Ping, Alice Leal Guo. But then again, what's crucial about this guy that we caught is, since he was one of the pioneers in setting up these POGO operations way back 2015, 2016, he would most likely be able to point to some individuals, private individuals, or even former or current government officials who may have aided him in setting up these POGO operations, not only in Laki South, but also in parts of Cebu, other parts of Visayas, and even here in southern Metro Manila. This guy is a big fish. This is a very big win in our fight against illegal POGOs.
Okay, now, Winston, lastly, speaking of big fish, is there someone bigger behind Philippine Offshore Gaming Corporation or operations?
There is
after?
someone much bigger.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we're still building up enough evidence against this guy that we think is the kingpin, the real kingpin, the real boss of all bosses as far as POGO operations are concerned.
And is he a Filipino?
Rest assured, Stanley, once we get the evidence against him, we'll file all the necessary charges against him.
Okay.
So you've got a clue there. It's a him.
Yeah, and is he a Filipino?
No.
Okay. On that note, Winston Casio of PAOK again, thank you so much for joining us today, for giving us updates on the crackdown on illegal offshore gaming operations and crime syndicates involved in these operations. Thank you. Have a good day.
Maraming salamat, Stanley. Have a good day.
Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is back home after attending the ASEAN Summit in Lao PDR. In his arrival statement Friday, Mr. Marcos said the Philippines will continue to defend its sovereignty and jurisdiction in the West Philippine Sea. He adds Manila will continue to strengthen its partnerships with countries who are committed to peace and the rule of law. Marcos also revealed the leaders of ASEAN agreed to work together to promote sustainable agriculture and tourism. In fact, next week, the Philippines will host the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction to help mitigate the devastating effects of climate change. President Marcos also explains why Vice President Sara Duterte was not named as the country's caretaker when he left for the ASEAN Summit. Marcos said it will be unfair to assign Duterte since she is no longer part of his cabinet. The task fell on Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, and Agrarian Reform Secretary Conrado Estrella III.
She's not part of the day-to-day running of what we are doing. So it would be unfair to ask her to now to impose that duty on her, since that's not part of her work now. It's a very practical reason, actually. That's how I came to that conclusion. If you notice, the membership of the executive committee are all part of. They're all members of the cabinet up to now. So that would seem to be the obvious way to handle it.
Japan vows closer cooperation with the Philippines amid tensions in the Indo-Pacific region. This commitment made by its new Prime Minister, Ishiba Shigeru, in a meeting with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos at the sidelines of the ASEAN Summit. The readout of the meeting said the two leaders agreed to improve bilateral relations in an increasingly challenging regional security environment. Also on the table was the potential early enforcement of a defense pact signed by Marcos and then Premier Fumio Kishida in July. Marcos and Ishiba further discussed cooperation on economic security and agricultural technology. Still on geopolitical tensions, Beijing reiterates its opposition to the U.S. deployment of a missile system in the Philippines. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said Friday the presence of offensive strategic weapons at other countries' doorsteps threatens peace and stability in the region. Beijing also urged relevant parties to recognize the sensitivity of the issue and oppose what it calls attempts to stoke an arms race in the region. The missile system was brought in by the U.S. in April for the two nations' military drills. The Philippine Defense Chief earlier said Manila is not engaging in an arms race, but focused on boosting its defense capabilities. Several government agencies hold a simulation of a ransomware attack on an airport's information system as part of the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Andrea Taguines gives us a look.
What will you do when the airport's information system gets hit by a ransomware attack? Flight details get leaked.
Dapat confidential yung flight. Bakit nakabalandra na sa social media, na pupunta ako ng Greece, bukas? Di ba dapat secret lang yun?
And the whole thing leads to a deadly collision of planes. That's what the cybersecurity teams of several government agencies had to figure out during a tabletop exercise organized by the Department of Information and Communications Technology as part of its activities for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Participating groups were assigned different roles: airport management, airline, third-party service provider, aviation regulator, and data privacy watchdog.
We're trying to create scenarios which will train them how to properly react if there is a cybersecurity crisis. For example, basic questions like, when do they inform regulators? Next question is, at what stage do I inform my superiors, my general manager? Is there a need to inform? Is there a need to create a national emergency communications cluster for such crisis? Parang fire drill, but pag hindi mo pinapractice, pag nangyari, nagpapanik ka, like what happened sa PhilHealth.
DICT Undersecretary Jeffrey D. said, while the DICT is always prepared to lend a hand to affected organizations, they should also have their own cybersecurity processes down pat.
Gusto kasi namin hindi kami Dapat sila mismo on the ground, on day zero. Pag may nangyaring attack, they know how to handle it. They have the technology to handle it.
There was even a mock press conference to train government employees on crisis communication. Chofilo Arbeleta, who heads the Energy Regulatory Commission's Management and Information Systems Division, now wants to replicate the activity over at the ERC.
Mas na-improve yung decision-making pag may ganitong nangyaring incident. Anong gagawin mo? Sinong kukontakin mo? Sinong kakausapin mo? Sinong i-coordinate mo?
In real life, D said the DICT will also arrange a meeting soon with the new operators of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, the private consortium NUNAIA Infrastructure Corp, to discuss cybersecurity protocols.
We will need to communicate with them in the next few days about how we should interact with each other when a cybersecurity incident of that proportion happens.
Like airports, D said most of the other critical information infrastructures, or CIIs, in the Philippines are controlled by the private sector, such as telcos, power grids, and water supply systems. That's why the DICT continues to push for the cybersecurity bill, which would mandate operators of CIIs to report to the government when they get hit by a cyber attack. The agency expects the proposed measure to be passed by the start of the 20th Congress. But D said they would give firms up to 24 months to comply. Andrea Taguines, ABS-CBN News.
A multi-million-dollar loan has been approved to boost the digital infrastructure in the Philippines, which records around 2 million cyber threats per day. More from Jackie Pascual.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology reveals it is monitoring about 2 million cyber threats per day. Majority of these threats target government agencies as well as state colleges and universities and private businesses.
At any given day, approximately 2.1 million threats are being monitored by the National Security Operations Center. Not all of these threats are successful in attacking government or critical information infrastructures. 50% targets government, 30% targets academe, 80% na yun. 10% targets the telecommunications industry, so 90% na yun. The remaining 10% is usually banking or health sectors, etc.
The DICT now welcomes World Bank's board approval of a $287 million loan for the Philippine Digital Infrastructure Project. The World Bank says this will be invested in the government's national fiber optic backbone, connectivity infrastructure to secure against cybersecurity threats and climate risks.
$43 million of that loan is for cybersecurity, building the capabilities of the National Security Operations Center and our National Computer Emergency Response Team.
D says the project will help expand internet access in the country, where internet penetration in the Philippines is at 73.6%, but in parts of Mindanao, it's just less than 20%. The World Bank adds this project is aimed to benefit Filipinos outside the country's main urban areas because current telecommunications services are mostly concentrated in key cities and towns. The DICT adds the economy also benefits with better internet penetration.
For every 10% increase in internet penetration rate, the gross domestic product increases by approximately 1.38%.
The World Bank says this loan can help 20 million Filipinos enjoy better internet services, bridging the digital divide and unlock the full potential of the digital economy. Jackie Pascual, ABS-CBN News.
The Philippine Agriculture Department assures the public of sufficient rice supply following the rollout of the 43 peso rice in several Kadiwa stores in the country. Jervis Manahan reports.
The Agriculture Department on Friday rolled out cheaper rice for the public, starting in a Kadiwa store in Barangay Daang Bakal in Mandaluyong City. From 45 pesos per kilo, they lowered the price of rice to 43 pesos per kilo under the Rice for All program. This program aims to help all consumers get access to cheaper rice as price of the grain plummets in the world market. Agriculture Secretary Francisco T. Laurel said they did not have to shell out funds to subsidize the program, even if prevailing prices of commercial rice is still above 50 pesos.
Ang 43 pesos ay no subsidy. Ibig sabihin, yan yung presyo talaga na hindi malulugi ang gobyerno or kadiwa. So yan ang presyo na kayang paikutin, hindi malulugi. Kaya hindi budol yan, hindi kalokohan yan.
Depending on the value of the Philippine peso, the agency said they might even pull it lower to 39 pesos per kilo by next year. Households say the program is helpful in making ends meet.
Malaking tipid po kasi ang bigas 43 pesos po, kung sa labas po nasa 60 or 50 ang pinakamura sa labas, dito 43 lang po. May laking tipid po kasi sa manang bilihin po ngayon sa labas eh.
Malaking bagay yun kasi mahal ang bigas ngayon eh.
There is no limit to purchases of rice, but the department has an appeal to the public.
Pakiusap ko lang sa Rice for All na kahit walang limit, wag din naman abusuhin, baka bilhin dito na mura tapos ibenta naman doon sa kabilang lugar ng mahal. So kung pwedeng panawagan sa tao na kung pwedeng for home consumption lang, wag gawing negosyo.
However, several agricultural groups blasted the program, saying this is not the right way to lower rice prices. But the program will continue, as the government says they already have enough stock of rice to sell until the first quarter of 2025. Jervis Manahan, ABS-CBN News.
On to more news now. Diesel and kerosene prices headed higher for the fourth straight week. Estimates show diesel price per liter could go up by as much as 2 pesos and 70 centavos, while that of kerosene could increase by up to 2 pesos and 60 centavos. Gasoline prices, meanwhile, could see an increase of up to 2 pesos and 60 centavos.